Black female athlete experience that you had. And it reminded me of a recent video released by Olayemi Olurin. I don't know if you follow her, but Olayemi is a content creator. She is a former criminal defense attorney with Legal Aid in New York, I believe. And she's done a lot of prison abolition work, and that's kind of her number one issue. And she focused heavily on Rikers Island and the mayor's influence on what happens with Rikers Island. But she talks about it all across the country and bail reform, etc. And she recently released a video about a popular streamer here on the Twitch platform who was hosting some kind of, thing in his little space. And there was a Black woman there. And there was basically this whole scene of the guys kind of like eyeing her up and down and looking at her like she was a piece of meat and like kind of implying that she was masculine and maybe might not really be a woman and this and that. And it was just so disgusting to see. And she wrote, she created a video about that and talked about how this kind of casting an aspersion of masculinity, if you will, on Black women is something that Black women have had to deal with for so long. And, she talked about the intersection between that phenomenon and what trans women experience, especially Black trans women. Yeah, that kind of reminded me of a lot of what she was saying in her video. I highly recommend you check that one out because I think it would resonate with you a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because like the first person that I think of on like the large scale everybody would know is Michelle Obama. And the comments that came, early on in President Obama's presidency, or maybe even when he was still running, about her arms and how toned, and for me, sexy, but like apparently for some people, masculine, and not sexy, her arms were. And, this is Black women experience so much. It's weird. We just can't be perfect. Like we can't be perfect for the society because it's like we experience it from every single angle. We can be too masculine, but we can also be sexualized. We can also be, too strong as far as like the makeup of our bodies, not even like talking about mentally yet, just like too toned, or like too thick and like fat. But then we got people augmenting their bodies to resemble Black women's bodies and to resemble our curves and to resemble our lips and to resemble our curly eyelashes and to resemble our hair texture, even though our hair texture is not professional. And we can't wear our hair in certain ways and still be treated as professional. So it's like there's so much, it's so hard to be like perfectly in the middle of like making white people comfortable and of not exposing ourselves or being exposed. I don't want to say exposing ourselves, being exposed as some kind of fetishized, exoticized being.
Well said. Well said. That kind of reminds me of another thing you said, which is you were able eventually when you got to college to just be. And I think that was a very powerful statement by you because a lot of people don't seem to understand that, experiencing racism doesn't require anything except for our existence. And right. Yeah, a lot of people don't get that idea who do not really experience the negative consequences of the racial hierarchy as much. And so I'm glad that you said it that way, that once you were able to just be yourself, that is when you were really able to do some of the unraveling of maybe some of the illusions about race and racism that you had learned, or just like learning more about the hierarchy and how it was impacting you all this time and how it might impact you in the future.